I still remember the intense pine scent that permeated Ethan's clothes, that perfume that mixed with the sweat of childhood and the dust of the street. He would come home from school with scraped knees, socks rolled up around his ankles, and a wide open smile, one of those smiles that seemed to carry the sun between the edges of his teeth. It was as if the world could not touch him, as if the pain of the scratches and falls were just an insignificant detail compared to the joy of another day lived. His parents always went out at night. They went out and took a long time to return. The clock ticked by unhurriedly, and the house fell into a silence interrupted only by the sound of the TV. We would hide in the bedroom, where the bunk bed creaked softly every time someone moved. I would sleep on the top one, he on the bottom one. At least that was how it started. But somehow, we always ended up sitting on the same mattress, sharing a blanket that exuded dust and childhood. Back then, I was the protector. The one who knew where the bandages were. The one who blew on the wounds and promised that it would soon go away. The girl who had mastered the art of making instant noodles without burning them, as if that were a rare talent. And him. He was the boy who laughed at my lame jokes, who called me boss when he wanted something. Every morning, I would find him in the kitchen. Always in the same place, sitting at the table, a half-empty glass of orange juice and a book open in front of him. But he didn't read. He never read. He just watched. His blue eyes followed me in silence, as if I were a mystery, a puzzle that he was trying to decipher, piece by piece, gesture by gesture. And maybe, in a way, I was. "You look different," he said as I poured milk into the cup. "What do you mean?" I asked, avoiding his gaze. "I don't know, but I'm present." I smiled, and at the same time I could see the movement of my eyes as I sat on the wooden chair, taking a sip of coffee with a little hot milk and my breasts resting on the table, in an almost artistic image. At night, the parents would go out again. It was almost a ritual that never changed, but everything around us seemed to have turned upside down. That day, Ethan suggested that we watch a movie. I always accepted his requests, but the bunkroom was no longer the same. The mattress seemed smaller, the space between us warmer. He chose an unfamiliar movie, something about forbidden love and family secrets. I didn't pay attention to the screen. My focus was on the way he leaned over to get the popcorn, his arm brushing mine, or how his bare feet found mine under the old blanket. "Remember when you were afraid of those thrillers?" I asked, trying to bring back that lived essence. "I remember," he replied without taking his eyes off the screen. "But I'm not afraid anymore." That sentence sounded like a declaration. Sometimes his eyes would wander to lower parts, as if I were in a forest looking for firewood and logs. In the middle of the movie, he paused and looked at me. "Why have you never wanted to find someone?" he asks, as if the answer were the key to a secret he's kept. "It never worked out," I reply, shrugging. And as the question hangs in the air, heavy as the rain that starts to beat on the window, he comes closer and I smell his scent, no longer pine. "Ethan," I begin, but he interrupts. "It's not wrong, you know. It's only if the will to achieve one's desires and goals in life are equal," he tells me, trying to sound like a studious philosopher. His lips are so close that the level of heat and breath rises to levels above zero. I remain thoughtful for a few seconds, thinking about a whirlwind of things while the stored tool gains proportions in its measurements, thrown aside, waiting for me to start the starting point of a rested worker ready for action, wanting to close the distance and discover what that tool would be capable of showing its skills. He steps back, but does not move away. He sits there, now sitting next to me, as the movie continues to play without either of us paying attention. "I'm sorry," he mumbles, but it doesn't sound like he's sorry. It sounds like he's finally said something he's been holding back for years. "You don't have to apologize," I say, "because it's the truth." He looks at me, And for the first time, I see someone growing, gaining experience like a man who is constantly evolving. It's a painful and beautiful sight, like watching the sun rise and knowing it's going to burn. Never mind. Let's keep paying close attention to our movie, he suggested, but his eyes said otherwise. We can, I agreed, not really believing that I could press the start button. The power was in my hands, and now the best part began. For almost 20 minutes, sitting on the same mattress, sharing the same blanket, the scenes from the movie played on the TV, inviting and at the same time educational about the biological aspect of life. I watched from the side what remained firm and strong, that would never fall. The fabric that protected that beast was no longer holding it. It needed to be outdoors, and that was when I helped, putting the tool outside so that it would have more space. He looked at me smiling and asked me with wide eyes, "Can we start this work? I leave it at your disposal." I nodded, allowing the beginning of a great journey. We decided together the work schedule. 1-on-1, 1 day off and another day of intense work. And he obeyed the rules, worked hard, and in the end, he received big bonuses. As he fitted it correctly, like an experienced mechanic, I slowly opened up. He traced the contours of the body with his hands, like a sculptor molding clay. As he worked skillfully, respecting my every instruction, I just kept saying, "This is amazing. Please keep going. We're almost done." At one point, I changed the position of the tool to a perpendicular angle to the horizontal, and that's when everything changed. I was already tired and, little by little, I was also hungry because of the work. I looked at him and asked him to get me a glass of milk. He smiled, saying that he was tired too and that he would get me enough to satisfy myself. When he reached for the glass, he accidentally tripped over a slipper that was in the corner near the bunk bed and spilled milk on the donut. I didn't care about that. I understood the tiredness in the same desire that I felt hungry. I just got up and went to get a cloth to clean. At the end, I still thanked him. "Thank you for your incredible service. I hope we can keep this journey going again." He smiled, and so we continued. Did you like this story? Leave a comment telling us what you thought, and, if you've experienced something similar, share it with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any new content. Here, we always bring life stories, reflections, and real experiences, all with great sincerity. Thank you for watching until the end and for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.